Alright, it's time for the dev course, of course.
As soon as we get past these loading screen, cutscenes.
Well, there are loading screens, as cutscenes. Again, we have been having those since the first game. Like I said, they will be a staple, I think, until a cracking time.
Are you ready to play? All right, let's meet our first contestant. He's an unemployed.
Let's get ready to roll out! I said roll out, so you can't sue me.
Poor Ratchet can't catch a break.
Himself as a Thyrannoid will make him more attractive to the ladies.
That's
Give a warm welcome to Ratchet will attempt to be the first
Yeah, boo the
to
loser.
survive the death course. Contestant number 1, are you ready?
Bring it on.
You know, I love how they talk about how, oh, he's the sidekick to Clank, but they don't actually acknowledge Clank's presence there.
Also, I don't think I mentioned, I don't remember if I mentioned in the previous part, but yes, the sub cannon is back. Again, it's a bit better, it's a bit snappier and faster, and the game provides you a lot of smaller enemies to suck in, but I still overall don't particularly care about it. Go on, Pedro.
Don't worry, Liz, when we get to Rift Apart, we still have these bits, but we can skip them immediately, regardless.
Yeah, that was actually that intro just then when the announcer was basically making Ratchet sound like crap. That reminds me, there was this WCW pay-per-view called NWO Sold Out. It was themed after their big heel faction at the time. And one thing that they did, whenever a WCW wrestler who wasn't part of the NWO came out, the announcer just basically ran them down, made them sound like shit, because they weren't in the NWO, and while they glorified the actual NWO guys in the team. It kind of reminds me a bit like that.
Point at them and laugh.
Pretty much. That's how it went. I mean, it'd be like if in WWE nowadays, whenever a heel came out, the announcer was like, "And this is the piece of shit who has his mom wipe his ass still every time he goes to the toilet."
Also, no animation for this titanium bolt. Okay.
Weird.
You can't bother to do an animation too. You're in the middle of a contest.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's mainly because of the death course.
There you go, if I destroy all the cameras in one of the death course, I get a skill point. Again, it's pretty easy, and logical.
But now the audience at home can't see the action.
Well, that's a shame, Waves. They probably should have made them more resistant.
Now they have to buy a premium subscription to get this camera view.
So what you're saying is they intended to make them easy to break in the first place.
Yeah, the cameras were the free-to-air video feed, but they made them shit because they knew they would get damaged. It would encourage encourage people to pay the premium subscription for this camera.
Mm-hmm.
Marketing geniuses.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, when it was fading to white there, I thought Ratchet accidentally blew up the whole
remember, it's the animation where when you actually get your nanotech maximum nanotech upgraded, it counts as also as a screen nuke, so if you manage to time it just right, you can also get out of a pinch situation.
Oh, nice.
I'll get that bolt off screen. And we get a holocomic.
If it weren't, I would have impeded my view of the enemy.
The second issue of the Qwark comics, we'll get to see that by the end. And now when you get to the end of the death course, you have to do, of course, the arena, which returns in all of its glory. So let's use the Infector to put these people against each other.
Those are not your friends.
You don't want to fight me. You want to help me.
Yeah. That guy over there, he middle fingers you behind your back. What other ways could we make them turn on each other? That guy there, he's dating your sister.
Again, the whip works much better with smaller enemies. It stuns also the medium ones, but you might as well just use it for hordes. It's basically crowd control when you get swarmed, especially because it has a 360 movement. So. And of course, much like the ones in the second game, this arena also has, arena traps. So you need to watch out. But you can both watch out. You have to both watch out for yourself. But you can also exploit that to kill the enemies. I'm not gonna show all of the arena fights like in the second game. Only the ones that have the unique bosses to them. This is just basically to showcase because it's the story mandated and. Might as well. Just as a taste. And don't worry, it's with Deadlocked / Gladiator, but you're basically forced into a literal gauntlet of these. Because again, Halo was popular at the time. Yes, Lives?
What was it, the name change between Ratchet Gladiator?
I guess, okay, remind me, Lives, was Deadlocked the European name or the American one?
That I'll have to look up.
Oh, I can tell you. The American name was Deadlocked. Okay. Gladiator was the European name.
You have to remember, Blips, the major reason why the titles get changed is usually because it's a sexual innuendo of some kind. So maybe Deadlocked means something like that.
Yeah. He survived the death course.
Here's Kirby Gears, because of course early 2000s, so we have a robot Britney Spears parody. She will be more important later.
Survived the death course? He wasn't supposed to do that. I mean, congratulations.
Do not be alarmed, Sasha. That
I guess the hologuise works even better than expected.
I see you were the Thyrannoid. It's very convincing. Anyway, there's something I think the two of you need to see.
Oh boy.
But I've only got one eye.
In the meantime, since Qwark has regained his memories, he wasted no time doing what he knows best.
Testing facility. I decided to focus my efforts on protecting the endangered creatures of the Floranid jungle.
How kind of you.
But when news arrived that Dr. Nefarious had again risen to power, I knew where my true destiny lay. The training necessary to get back into tip-top shape.
Well, at least we got Helga back.
And my mind overflows with
and Al. We'll see both of them
2
later.
plus 2 equals
the
4.
bittersweet stench of my simian companions.
No, do not return to Monkey.
It was done before it was even cool.
As the greatest hero the galaxy has ever known, Captain Qwark!
Well, we at least rehabilitated him. How nice to see.
Well,
you're not gonna believe this, but the president put Qwark in charge of the fight against Nefarious. Our new commander just called his first team meeting. You better get back to the Phoenix right away.
Yeah, we kind of established that.
This does not sound good.
All right.
Now he's back to normal on the next.
We'll have to. That's because mostly the hologuise in this tends to be a bit more situational. You'll be able to see. But for the time being, before we go, I'll just showcase to you the unique, super boss. Otherwise, again, the arena is there for you to just farm bolts and extra goodies for your gadgets. There you go, dual robots. One of them is more armed with ranged weapons, while the Valkyrie has the equivalent of your whip. And they tag team. And no, they have separate L bars, so you cannot cheese the fight by, shooting until both of them die at the same time.
So, they fly now. Great.
They fly now. It's more of a jumping maneuver, but yeah, something like that. As you can see, they're still relatively doable at this stage, even just as you enter the course. And they're not too spongy, but depending on which weapon you use, you might run out of bullets very fast, so...
Yeah.
There we go. Strafing doesn't always do the trick, but it's recommended mostly for the whip attack. For the missile is just more of a case where you have to, run all over the arena for the places that are not covered. So it's not as simple as linear. There you go. -1. Ow.
I like to usually keep my distance with these guys, but sometimes an up close and personal.
Again, even if they're not sponges, the thing is that it still, will consume a lot of bullets, especially since now your weapon are super upgraded. But again, that's pretty much it. And yeah, the Agents of Doom are back along also with a new weapon, so I'll be able to showcase those later.
Mm-hmm.
For the time being, we sadly have to go to listen what Qwark's brilliant plan is.
Don't you see, Tio, now that he has finished with his escapades, he will lead us to victory.
Also, again, this is also usually the starting point where part of the fanbase, not all of them, but part of the fanbase was starting to genuinely get a bit annoyed by Qwark, mostly because, if you remember, in the second game was established that in the Solana Galaxy, Qwark was basically a fugitive. So, I guess the situation with Nefarious, had, him being forgiven for his crimes.
Ladies and
Pardoned, yeah, probably.
But then let's get to the briefing.
And yes, a lot of returning characters from the first two games.
Well, only the first. We haven't really. There you go. We don't really have veterans from the second, outside of a cameo at the end.
Which one Al showed up into, but maybe I'm misremembering. I thought Helga and Helga did.
Helga had a very small cameo in a steel frame, but she wasn't even named.
The queue. Years ago, I single-handedly defeated Dr. Nefarious. But like a rash on the galaxy's backside, he has flared up again. Our first mission will be to infiltrate the Doctor's top-secret base.
Of course he has an
on planet
underwater base.
Quatos. Impossible, you say? Perhaps
Alright, let's see if the stills pays off and are comparable to the ones from the Sly games.
Brilliant plan!
First, Ratchet and Clank will descend to the sea floor and wade through a series of tunnels flooded with waist-high raw sewage.
What?
Yeah,
Please
I
hold
would
your
Ratchet.
questions
What
until the
the
end of the presentation. After infiltrating the base, our agents will split up. Clank will enter the base's ventilation system, where he will locate and deploy this banana-guided autonomous monkey device, or the GAMD. Meanwhile, Ratchet will use his extensive knowledge of the Thyrannoid language and customs to win the trust of the bloodthirsty alien guards. Finally, our agents will make their way to Nefarious' personal office, steal everything that is nailed down, and exfiltrate the base completely undetected.
The team must have had fun every control.
Oh, basically, we're having Ratchet and Clank do everything, team.
Crazy.
Take 5.
But it just might work.
To quote Daniel Craig, no, it's just dumb. And yeah, occasionally when you get to the bridge of the Starship Phoenix, you get in occasional Star Trek parody banters, because of course it's even structured kind of like that.
What year did this game come out?
Early 2000, so...
2004, I think.
I think
I
Voyager
think
is
so,
about to end.
Not too long before Enterprise bit the dust.
Oh, it's even beyond that, okay.
Yeah, Enterprise,
You're
Star Trek
shit.
Enterprise. Yeah, Star Trek Enterprise ended around early mid 2005.
Also, Tio, we actually need a
monkey.
Also, Tio, tune out from your inner Captain Jack Sparrow and stop trying to shoot the monkey. You're taking out more bits of the ship.
It's more like the Ape Escape nostalgia. Can't imagine
That's
why I'm
that's
thinking
gonna
that
be-
for this game.
David, yeah, that's going to be the ending to the series. Captain Jack finally manages to do away with the monkey. Unfortunately, the whole ship got destroyed and everyone else drowned.
Alright, so for the second
Comic episode
of
2,
Wallowbid, comic,
Amoeba,
it's actually
a
important
new evil
because
was
it also
gathering in the shadowy
showcases
swamps of Blackwater
what
City.
Nefarious was doing
A
in the past,
horrific
the
breed
first
of
confrontation
monsters
that
known
Qwark
as amoeboids.
And yes, this
Born
also
in the
interactively
laboratories
mentioned
of a
with the
twisted
amoeboids
scientist named
from
Dr.
the first game
Nefarious.
were one of his creations. And it looks surprisingly organic.
We'll see
Uh-huh.
who's insane.
I love this.
When my pets have exterminated all life on this miserable planet.
So Dr. Nefarious created the
When
Daleks.
Captain Qwark encountered the amoeboids for the first time, he immediately executed Emergency Response Plan number 2.
Hey, wait just a minute.
Qwark then proceeded to stall for time while he coordinated the city's defenses from the women's restroom at Galaxy
Oh,
Burg.
Give me that thing, you lying, no good. Right.
So yeah, he was apparently
When I
having a
touched down,
one-night
I
stand
knew
at
the
that
situation called
restaurant.
for a
No,
head-on assault.
it definitely
Without
was
hesitation,
just that
I
cover,
rushed
but
to do
Qwark
heroic
was
battle
having
with
none
the
of that
monstrous
because
amoeboid
of course.
horde.
Wow.
Anyway, the gimmick with... Okay, it's not apparent from this cutscene, you'll be able to see by the end of the next part, but Lawrence, which as Joe mentioned was always a robot, is voiced by Michael Bell, doing basically the most British, accent, and him and Nefarious have kind of a Wooster and Jeeves mechanic, where Nefarious is constantly amming up, and stating grandiose things, while Lawrence has to be super snarky and being a master of a backhand compliment. And it just works well enough for, to be that entertaining. Again,
In a
you'll be able to have more of a direct demonstration at the end of the next part.
In a way, they're like the anti-Ratchet and Clank as far as the villainous duos go.
Keep in mind also this, the cutscenes that will follow, might lead you to believe that Lawrence is the kind of, lackey that doesn't like his job, and will betray, someone like Nefarious to join the good guys. No, despite everything, he's still super loyal to the end, and that has never changed.
I've always interpreted Lawrence as being in it for the ride, and it's like, he's loyal to Nefarious, but he has honestly more fun toying with Nefarious, and that's why he sticks around.
Again, it's the Wooster and Jeeves mechanic, where, the person that looks more like the servant, is indeed the one in control and actually, revels in that kind of, secret knowledge about the position of power without having to say it. So yeah, anyway, for this level, your main enemies are the amoeboids, of course, which also means more assets from the first game that we can conveniently use. Again, more smart.
Yeah. I honestly feel like I honestly feel like Ratchet and Clank 3 as a whole wanted to go back to the original Galaxy for a better sense of continuity. Not to say that 2 didn't have that sense of continuity, but like 2 was like a completely different system. Now, again, it might as well be a different galaxy because pretty much all the places we go to are different locations than the first game, save for Ratchet's homeworld, which was more or less the tutorial, basically. But I do kind of get them wanting to come back, also bringing back characters someone. Now, again, not saying that, obviously they were intending for this to be the last one, but I would not be surprised if a lot of the reason was because... rule of 3 with platformers, they were kind of wondering if this might be the end.
Well, not necessarily for the end, but more the fact of, having the callback specifically also to the first game in acclamation, because if you pay attention, both Sly 3 and Jack and Dexter 3 did basically the same thing, just in their own way. Sly 3 introduced characters from the first game, but also the second, but mostly also the first game in different contexts, like, Panda King and Marshall, for example, and Jak and Daxter 3, while still very connected to the, dark and edgy weird shit that happened in 2, brought back a lot of the concept from 1, including a twist that I dare not to say because it's just that good, and you'll be able to eventually see if we get to that game. So it's more of a case of, cliches typical of trilogies when it came to specifically video games. It's just the fact that, you know, as time went on, and a lot of games and franchises kind of stopped, you know, being trilogies and more relying on either being self-contained or, you know, having maybe only 2 games and then moving on to something or having softer boots. This, you know, for lack of a term, art kind of got lost as a result. But it's still present to some degree. And again, it's even as old. I can think of, you know, even older example. As I mentioned during one of our Dark Souls, you know, streams, From Software kind of did this since the beginning by having in Kingsfield 3, one thing that happens in the climax is that you get to replay the entirety of the first level of Kingsfield 1 as a genuine nostalgia trip that you tend to have. It's pretty cool, actually. So yeah, this Call of It also does not have actually a boss fight at the end, sadly. Still a bit too, you know, aggressive with this sound design.
It looks like it makes it look like Qwark's taking all the credit.
Thankfully,
Which
you
is
do
what
get
he
the Titanium
does.
Vault.
Amoeboid army defeated. Dr. Nefarious had no choice but to flee Blackwater City in disgrace.
We'll get to know why and eventually how Nefarious love that face, eventually became more robotic.
Dr. Nefarious was right about one thing. He and Qwark would meet again, and sooner than he realized. For a true hero like Captain Qwark will stop at nothing in the name of justice.
Oh yeah, this is a recurring theme, by the way. Qwark managing to survive in space by holding his breath. Batman logic. What can I say?
I mean, he's not quite up to Batman level yet because he has not survived a fall from space without any armor.
Anyway, tune in for the next part where we infiltrate the base in Aquatos like Qwark masterfully predicted. See ya.
See ya.
Bye.
See ya.